Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin meeting this morning for a highly anticipated summit in Helsinki, Finland. Their meeting coming on the heels of Friday's indictment of 12 Russian nationals by Special Counsel Robert Mueller in relation to the investigation into interference in the 2016 presidential election. Natasha Chen, she joins us live right now this morning from Washington with what we're learning about this meeting. Natasha, good morning.
Good morning, Cherie. So right now, Trump and Putin are behind closed doors for what is supposed to be about a 90-minute session. When they're done, they will appear in front of the cameras again before they go off to a meeting with a larger group of people and a working lunch. First, Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived late to Helsinki. Then President Trump said he wouldn't leave his hotel until Putin had arrived at the presidential palace first. When the two were finally together in front of cameras, Putin said very little.
Ну, конечно, настало время поговорить обстоятельно о наших двусторонних отношениях и по различным болевым точкам в мире. И достаточно много для того, чтобы мы обратили на это внимание.
Trump then congratulated Putin on a great World Cup before launching into business.
I think we have great opportunities together as two countries that, frankly, we have not been getting along very well for the last number of years. I've been here not too long, but it's getting close to 2 years, but I think we will end up having an extraordinary relationship.
Trump said they would discuss China and nuclear proliferation, among other things. The topic of U.S. election meddling did not come up in this brief photo opportunity.
And with that, the world awaits, and I look forward to our personal discussion.
Discussions that American lawmakers have been nervous about after the U.S. Department of Justice indicted 12 additional Russian nationals on Friday for election interference.
Your first request of Vladimir Putin needs to be, tell us which airport we can pick up the 25 Russians that tried to interfere with the fundamentals of our democracy.
Democrats have called for this meeting to be canceled entirely, but the White House pressed forward. About 15 minutes ago, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo wrapped up another meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and that parallel meeting was the first that the two of them had since Pompeo became Secretary of State. Live in Washington, Natasha Chen. Charisse, back to you.
And Natasha, we know that this summit is going a little bit longer than expected. Do you have any information as to why the summit is more than an hour long?
I believe that President Trump wants to cover a number of topics. He has stated that he wants to bring up the Ukraine-Crimean Peninsula, which was annexed by Russia in 2014. He wants to bring up the two countries' involvement in Syria, of course, election meddling, and the topic of extending this treaty that would reduce the two nations' stockpile of nuclear weapons. So there's a lot to cover there. He also wanted this to be a solo, one-on-one meeting, sort of to get a better personal assessment of Putin and develop that relationship, but also a U.S. official tells us that Trump wanted to make sure there would be no leaks from this meeting and that aides who perhaps would take a harder line against Russia would not undercut their conversation. Charisse.
All right, Natasha Chen live for us in Washington this morning. Thank you so much for that update. Right now,